Okay.
Okay, good morning, everybody. We are in Parashat Ki Tissah. Ki Tissah is a very interesting phrase to tell us that Kodesh Baruch Hu tells Moshe Rabbeinu to count the people. Why isn't it written Ki Tifkod, Ki Tispor, which is a normal phrase to say count the people. And then also is written Ki Tissah et Rosh Bnei Israel. Now Ki Tissah is like to raise up the heads of the children of Israel. So you could say Ki Tissah Bnei Israel, raise up the children of Israel. Why do we have the head here, the Rosh, and why is Ki Tissah? And we have to understand that this episode happens not like the normal order in the Parsha, because later on in the Parsha, we have the sin of the golden calf, which is before what we start the Parsha. This is to show us, first of all, before we go into this issue, to be very careful in understanding what should we do if, unfortunately, we also do a sin. Now, the sin of the golden calf is very interesting and very strange, because just a few minutes ago, Am Israel were receiving the Torah from God Himself, and really were at the highest level that anybody can be. And 2 seconds later, you do the golden calf. This is something that we have to understand. How could it be? How a thing like this happens? And the real truth is there are a lot of explanation to understand really what's going on here. And like the simple explanation is to understand, first of all, they say that those who were involved really in making the golden calf were not Am Israel, they were the Erev Rav, those who went out with Am Israel. And this is why God tells Moshe, Red Kishichet Amcha, go down because your people sinned. And what does it mean? Two things. First of all, a leader has to understand, like Torah tells Moshe Rabbeinu, if you think that you are here up high because of yourself, you're mistaken. You are here up high because of the people. And if the people go down, you go down with them. And here, that's the first thing to understand, that the leader has a direct connection with the people. So in other words, when you look at our leaders, you understand who we are, which unfortunately is not a very nice picture today, but that's what it is. What can we say? No, it's not nice to say, it's not easy to see, but this is exactly the situation. And this is why the Kodesh Baruch Hu says to Moshe Rabbeinu, Red Kishichet Amcha. And now, why is it your people, not the people of Kodesh Baruch Hu? Because when Am Yisrael went out of Egypt, the Erev Rav, those Goyim, they wanted the Egyptian or the others, they wanted to come with Am Yisrael. And Moshe Rabbeinu accepted them. And God didn't so much like the idea, but now we see what happened. Those people, those riffraff, those people who came out with Am Israel, they are the one who were behind the sin of the golden calf. Anyway, first of all, we see the connection between the leader and the people. And now we also, one explanation is that those who really sinned were not Am Israel themselves, but those people who came with them. But, so why are we punished today? Because when we look at the Parsha, we see that 3,000 people were killed. And those 3,000 citizens died, killed in all those different ways. And which means that those who really sinned, they're not here with us anymore. So the question is, why is the Yom Pokdi Upakad? Kodesh Baruch Hu forgave us, but not completely. He said, the Yom Pokdi, when you do a sin, you're going to pay not only for the sin you're doing, but also for a part of this golden calf sin. So what was really the sin of Am Israel in the golden calf, if from this opinion that those who were really involved died, and they were not also a part of Am Israel? Because one of the most difficult things in life is when you see something and you do nothing about it. To be passive, not active. To be adish, not caring. That's the worst thing you can do. If you worship God, if you do the mitzvahs without a meaning, without a heart, it's no good. It says, "Bekol chacham lev yavo olamcha." Everybody who was wise in his heart, they did the job of the Mishkan. So, where is wisdom? In the heart or in the mind? The wisdom is here in the whole, in the head, in the mind, not in the heart. So, what does the Torah tell us? The Torah tells us something very simple. Wisdom by itself, knowledge by itself, is not enough. If you don't connect the knowledge with your heart, what does it mean? What is it worth? Imagine to yourself a couple that love each other and they look at each other in love. They do nothing about it. Is this real love? We as human beings, we have to express our feeling. So you bring flower to your wife, or the wife brings a present to her husband. You hug each other. You do actions in order to show you love. You're doing things for the one you love. This is real love. To say I love and do nothing about it, this is not real love. To say I believe in God and I love God, but do nothing about it, or when somebody does something against God and you stand and do nothing, that's the worst. Unfortunately, today, this is one of our biggest illnesses. We just don't care. We see everything collapsing around us from the point of view of the Jewish point of view. What is happening all around us? There is no difference between a man, a woman, a female, male. There is no difference between the people. There is no difference in anything. Everybody can do what he wants to do. The Rabbanut is being like they want to have a lot of rabbis, Rabbanuts that do whatever they want. Everybody who wants to become Jewish, yes, can do it without committing himself to practice the mitzvahs. This is tov vavov. This is not what we should accept. We should not accept those things. If we like it, it's not bad. The atmosphere is like you feel sometimes you're not allowed to say what you think. Because what do people tell? What do people say about you? You're primitive. What do you think? Why do you need female and male? Everybody is the same. Is it? God created us in a certain way. And this is what we are. And even if we have sometimes, let's say, lust to do certain things, we're not allowed to do it because the Torah doesn't allow it. If I want to eat chassid, pork, am I allowed to eat it according to the Torah? Not. If I want to steal, am I allowed to steal? Everybody will agree, no. But I want to steal. I have this urge to steal. So what? If I have the urge to do this and that, so what? This is why we have the Torah. This is why when we are not caring enough, we see things happening. And this was the big sin of Am Yisrael. 3,000 people from around 3 million people, men, women, and children. See those 3,000 people, which is a minority, do the golden calf, and you do nothing. This is a great sin. And this was really the sin that we're paying for it till today. How can we fix things? We have to stop being passive. We have to stop being adishim. We have to stop not caring. We have to start caring. We have to start doing things and showing God that we love God and we love each other and we do things for it. Not sit at home and do. I know it's hard to hear sometimes because everybody around us is like living this strange life. It's like always I bring this sample which I can never understand to show us the influence of the public on people. People go with torn trousers and they pay for the torn trousers more than normal trousers.
You hear that, Daddy?
This is something that, I'm sorry, this is not normal. Who goes with tears in his trousers? And this is high fashion. And now I saw something new. It's not only tears, also you have white dots, like paint dots on the trousers. And this is, wow. People come to shul like this. We're going to shul. People go to parties like this. High fashion. And you tell me, but everybody's doing it. Suddenly, beard is fashionable. So everybody's got a beard.
Yeah.
10 years ago, if you had a beard, they looked at you, you were a rabbi. They looked at you strange. Why? You don't shave? How can it be? There you have half shaved is the whole high fashion. And you tell me that this is normal? So why? Why do we accept everything? Because we don't care enough. And this is
Yeah.
the calf for us today. The golden calf is also this running after the gold all the time. This is the idols of today. Money, power. Look what people are willing to do for money and for power. They change their minds every 2 minutes. They promise things that they can't keep anything. Just they want to be respected. They want to have this high level job. They want honor. They want money. They want power. But power corrupts, as we all know. And this is for us, the golden calf, to understand them really. So God tells, why do we start with Ki Tissah? Ki Tissah, the beginning, is telling us a very important lesson. Yes, okay. So we didn't care. So we sinned. So what now? What happens to somebody? What happens to somebody who does something shameful, something not nice? What is he doing with his head? He's got a head like this. He's ashamed. He cannot keep up his head because he's ashamed of what he did. It's like this story with the guy that on Purim went to shul, they were drinking, and he drank too much, and drank and drank and drank, and then he started swearing and saying private things that he shouldn't say, and he even cursed the Rab, and then at the end, on top of it, he puked on the Rab, on the rabbi, on himself. His friend dragged him and put him in his bed at home because he couldn't move. In the morning, he hears a phone call. He's waking up. He's got a headache, and he's answering the phone. He says, Yankale, do you know what happened yesterday? He says, I've got a big headache. He says, of course. Do you know how much you drank yesterday? You didn't stop drinking, and you drank and drank and drank, and you lost it. You said this and that. I said this. I don't believe what he said. And you know, on top of it, you cursed the rabbi. What? And then, on top of it, you also puked on him, on yourself. And he looks, and he sees, yes, he's still dirty from the vomit. It's unbelievable. He didn't know what to do. He was so ashamed. Turn the phone down, and he said, I'm in quarantine. I'm not going out. No corona, no nothing. I'm not going out. I cannot show my face outside. The rabbi at shul sees Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday. The guy doesn't come to shul. He's a good rabbi. He phones him up, says, Uncle, what's happening? Why didn't you come to shul? Have you got corona? You're in have to stay at home. I says, no, I've got no corona, Baruch Hashem, I'm healthy. So why don't you come? He says, and then the rabbi understands I'm coming to you, stay there. And the rabbi goes to him, knocks at the door, and he has to open the door. This is after a few days. He's cleaned and he's with his head on his, let's say with his mind in his head. And he opens the door, and the rabbi says, can I come in? He says, yes, of course, Rabbi. He says, why didn't you come? He says, oh, I heard what I said. Wow, and what I did. I cannot show my face. He says, I want to tell you. Okay, you did a mistake. Ask forgiveness from those let's say you said bad things. Get out, raise your head, and go on with your life. Because if somebody puts his head down and is depressed, he's not going to do anything. And this is what God tells Am Israel. Yes, you sinned. You did a terrible sin. But what do you want to do now? You want to stay with your head down and do nothing? This is not why you're here in this world. Yes, okay, you do mistakes. So what do? You fix them. And on the contrary, maybe now you understand what you did, you fix it, and you be much better than before. It's like sometimes in business, I had a few years ago, Baruch Hashem, years ago, I had bad times. But from those bad times, I learned so much that our business today is much better than what it was. In other words, when you do mistakes, you learn from those mistakes. And this is what the Kodesh Baruch Hu tells Am Yisrael. Says, raise up your heads. Ki Tissah et rosh bnei Yisrael, says. I want you to raise up your heads. Tell Am Yisrael to raise up the heads and start doing. You ask forgiveness, and you go on with your life, and you fix what you did wrong, and you go even better. This is a big lesson for each one of us. First of all, the meaning of the sin of the golden calf. There are a lot of reasons, but this reason of adishut, of not caring, of going on with life, not caring about what's happening around us. This is the first thing we have to fix. And we should not be ashamed. Even if we sin, we should take our head up. We are not a beast. We are not an animal. Animal goes with the head down. Human being go with the head up. And this is a big lesson. Even if we did a mistake, even if we sin, it's not the end of the world. As long as we woke up in the morning, we say, "Modeh ani lefanecha melech el chai v'kayam she'achzarta bi nishmati bechemla rabba emunatecha." I'm thanking you, God, "Modeh ani lefanecha melech chai v'kayam," the King Almighty that lives forever. Achzarta bi nishmati, that you gave me back my soul. Bechemla rabba, with mercy, with a lot of mercy. Rabba emunatecha. Your belief is unbelievable. Now, people think that we say, Rabbi Emunatecha, that our belief in God is unbelievable. No. What is unbelievable, what is the greatness of God, that he believes in us. Rabbi Emunatecha, your belief in us is so great that even though we did yesterday, we say, and we were not 100% right, you believe in us, and you gave us our neshama back in the morning. So what does it mean? What does it mean? That you believe in us and you know that we can raise up our heads and start a new day and fix whatever we did wrong and start a new way. This happening, Baruch Hashem, every morning. God gives us another chance, another day. So we should use it wisely. We should use it in a good way. And this is Ki Tissah Rosh Bnei Israel. Raise up the heads of Am Yisrael. So there are a lot of other things in our parsha, but I think that really the main thing is the golden calf, to understand how Am Yisrael did this thing. So one of the reasons is like to understand also another important point. They were a door of knowledge. The says that the Rashi, the is Ruach HaKodesh, the Holy Spirit. In other words, they had great powers. They get great knowledge. So how is it that such a clever generation, such a generation that was so close to God, is doing the golden calf? So what was happening is, and sometimes in life it happens, you lose something and you don't lose your faith, but you look for something else to connect you back. In other words, Moshe Rabbeinu, for though they did a calculation which was wrong, and they thought that Moshe Rabbeinu should come now, but it wasn't the time yet. But Satan did the whole thing, and we all know those stories, and they were afraid. We're talking about around 3 million people, men, women, and children, standing there in the desert, thinking that Moshe Rabbeinu is not coming back. And Moshe Rabbeinu is the one that he brought them the Torah, he brought them the food to eat, the water to drink. What's going to be now? They got into a panic. So they wanted a replacement. You know, one of the things that one of the rabbis says, if they really wanted to worship idols, why did they go to Aaron HaKohen? Well, did they think that Aaron HaKohen will do an idol for them? Think about it. It's not reasonable. The logic thing is you go to those Egyptians, those Arab Rab, and they will work an idol for you. But to go to Aaron HaKohen means that the idea was not idol worship. The idea was to find something that will stay with them, and not a human being that will go and can die, can vanish, can disappear like Moshe Rabbeinu. So they thought, what can they do there? So they, as we said, they knew a lot. They were so close to God. And they knew that high there is a Merkava. This is the vessel, or you come the carriage of God, which is a spiritual thing. But one of the figures that carries this Merkava is an ox. So they said, if there is the ox there, so we'll build an ox here, an egel, a calf here, that will be the symbol that connects us with God. Unfortunately, we know how it finished. So this is another big lesson. Even if you think you know, you don't do things by yourself. You do what the Torah tells you to. You don't go after, even if they are the majority. The majority of the world thinks like this. We know what is the truth. We go with God. We go with the Torah, with our sages. And what they say is what counts, and not what others. It says, this is your God. This is what the Erev Rav said to Israel. And here also it happened. They tell us, this is your God. This is the way to live. So what we have to do, we have to stop not caring. We have to start caring about what's happening around us. Be passive in a good way, because we try to bring everybody back with love. But when you love somebody, you have to show your love and not just speak about it or turn your head to something you don't like and it goes not according to what's supposed to be. This was the sin of the golden calf, not caring, or even let's say not caring enough. We should care. If somebody does something against God, against the will of God, we should care about this. What we can do, we'll try and do what we can. But first of all, care about it. Don't go through life. Okay, so they do this and they do that and they did this and that. That's not the way. That's showing God that you don't love him enough. Because if you love him, it should hurt you if something happens. And this is the sin of the golden calf. But from the other side, even if you sin, and even if you sometimes did what they do, you're not supposed to do, and even if you know, okay, I should do more, raise up your head. There is a new day. I'm thanking you, God, that you brought me back my soul with a lot of pity, with a lot of mercy, because you believe in me. God knows who I am. So if he believes in us, it means that we can do it. So let's raise up our heads and start a new beginning, a better day. All the best to everybody.
Thank you, Gadi.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Welcome.